Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Year 4's English lesson this morning. I hope you're all safe and well. We are going to be continuing with the work that we started yesterday. So yesterday we were predicting what we thought was going to happen in our new story, Mouse, Bird, Snake, Wolf. We will be moving on this morning and reading a part of the story together, and then we will be doing some descriptive work about the animals in the story. Okay, we'll talk about that in a moment. What I want to do to begin with this morning is to just introduce our new Alan Peat sentence for this half term. So this year so far, we've already had last word, first word, and those of you that have been sending me work, I've been talking fast, last word, first word, back to you when I've been sending feedback. We started to think about 3 ED words, where we put 3 words that are linked at the beginning of a sentence. So, for example, excited, exhilarated, elated, Brian opened his birthday present. So it's that kind of phrase, and some people were struggling a little bit with ED words that were similar in meaning. And I said to you, and I spoke to certain people, I think a couple of children I spoke to about this, we talked about actually if you can't always think of a third ED word, for example, you could just make sure that you put a word in there that has the same meaning, and we can build a bank of ED words that would fit as we go through the year. So those 2 sentences we've already introduced this year. We're now going to introduce something called a 2 adjective pair sentence. And what I want you to do very quickly, have a little look at the 4 sentences on this page and tell me, why do you think we call them 2 adjective pair sentences? Okay, so press pause while you're looking at them, 2 minutes, and then press play when you're ready to come back. Okay, so 2 adjective pair sentences. We've got then the first one, grumpy and resentful, furious and bitter. The teacher marked the writing. I'm never grumpy and resentful when I mark my writing, however, some teachers might be. We've also got enormous and gigantic, wonderful and delightful. The house was a welcoming sight in the distance. Roaring and deafening, booming and ear-piercing, the cars zoomed past the house. And finally, exhausted and worried, cold and hungry, they did not know how much further they had to go. Okay, so I've asked you to look at those sentences and tell me, what do you think of adjective pair sentences based on this, when you've looked at these? And hopefully you've been able to see, okay, keyword, a pair. Pair means 2, doesn't it? Okay. Now we've got 2 adjective pairs. Okay. That means that we have 4 words that are linked in some way. So for example, roaring and deafening, 2 words that go together. Booming and ear piercing, again, 2 adjective pairs that go together. Okay. And we've got enormous and gigantic, both meaning the same thing. Wonderful and delightful, both meaning the same thing. So what you're looking for here each time is a pair of adjectives that are similar in meaning. Okay, and then you put them together at the beginning of the sentence. What you do is, if you think back to Monday's grammar lesson, we've got here a main clause, the house was a welcoming sight in the distance. That makes sense on its own. What we're going to do is layer on some descriptive language to make it a far more interesting sentence. Enormous and gigantic, wonderful and delightful, the house was a welcoming sight in the distance. Now what we're going to do, I'm not going to get you to do any of these this morning, but we're going to gradually start to drip feed this in through our teaching and our learning over the next few weeks. And what we're going to be doing is trying to get you to use these type of sentences alongside your last word, first word, and alongside your 3 ED sentences. And what we're trying to do for the rest of this year is try and give you different types of sentences that will make your writing far more interesting, far more fun to read, and just exciting, really. Okay, so that's where we're going with it. We've made a start on it this morning. We're now going to move on and think about our next part of the first part of our story that we're going to read. So the story was called Mouse, Bird, Snake, Wolf. There is a copy of it, a scanned copy of it, on our website. I've dropped it into this week's English folder. So anytime we are reading the story together, if you just click it open, the biggest problem with this book are there are no page numbers. So I will attempt to, once we've scanned the book, I will attempt to add some page numbers of my own so that we always know exactly where we are. We can't go wrong this morning though, because we're just going to be looking at the first 4 pages of the story. So if you'd like to open it up at the beginning of the story, and we'll read together first of all. Okay, so get yourself opened up, press pause while you're doing it, and press play when you're ready to read with me. Okay, so Mouse, Bird, Snake, Wolf. Long ago and far away in a world rather like this one, and with people in it rather like us, there were 3 children, Harry, Sue, and Ben. Ben was known as Little Ben because he was so small. Like many worlds, the world they lived in was a marvellous place, filled with marvellous things. It was safe and calm and rather wonderful, but it was a strange old place as well. There were gaps and holes in it. There were places where there seemed to be nothing at all, places that were filled with emptiness. Some of these were as huge as deserts. Some were no bigger than a fingernail. The trouble was, the gods who had made the world had become rather fat and rather too pleased with themselves. Oh yes, they had worked great wonders in days gone by. They had made mighty mountains, tender flowers, rivers, forests, seas. They had made astounding animals, the elephant, the camel, the whale. And man and woman, of course, and babies and children, and beasts that we, in our world, have no names for. Okay, we're going to stop there. All right, I know you probably want to read more, but at this point, we're going to base our learning this morning on those 4 pages of the book. First of all, what I want you to do is have a little think. What do you like or dislike about the story so far? You know, what do you really think is good about it so far? What do you really think is a bit strange? Also, what puzzles you? By puzzle, I mean, is there something that you think is a bit weird, a bit strange, doesn't seem to make sense? And are there any connections? Is this world our world? If it isn't, how do you know that? What tells you those sort of things? Okay, so have a little think. I'm going to give you probably 2 minutes or so, actually, not 30 seconds, 2 minutes. If you're in school, you can talk with the person next to you. If you're at home, you can talk with an adult or another sibling, or you can just sit and have a little look yourself. Okay, so likes, dislikes, what you find strange, is this our planet, or our world, and what connections are there between their world and our world? Press pause now. Okay, welcome back. Well, I can't really say or talk to you about what you liked or disliked about it. That will be your job, and hopefully you've been able to say what you think is good and what you think is bad. Interestingly, though, the puzzling part. Now, I talked this over with my children at home, and they said they found it a bit strange that there were big gaps, empty spaces in the world. What would be called, what could possibly cause that? In our planet, we don't have empty spaces. Everything is whole. Everything is made properly. And then they also said, in terms of connections, they said it was very similar to our world. Hopefully you found the same, in that there are lots of animals, there are plants, flowers, there are children, babies, men, women. That made it very similar to our world. So they said that those were the connections that connected it with our world. But then on the last part, where it says, and beasts that we in our world have no names for. That suggests that it's a different world because there are animals that we've not even heard of, or animals that we don't even know what they are. So that suggests that maybe it's not our planet. Okay. Um, Hopefully you pulled out some of those facts and ideas, and maybe you've got some more of your own. Um, Unfortunately, when we get back to school, we'll be able to discuss all this type of thing. But at the moment, perhaps keep those parked in your brains and bring them back with you to school when we come back. Okay, what I want you to do now is you can see on the screen there's a link. I've dropped the link into this week's learning onto Wednesday's English page, so you should be able to pull up the video. It's just a video about the wonderful things about our planet, okay? Some of the amazing creatures, some of the wonderful animals, and I want you to look at them this morning and think really carefully. What do you think as you're watching it? What do you think is special about these animals? Why do you like them? Um, you know, and we'll come back and give you a chance to think about that in a moment. First of all, though, if you call up the link and watch the video, and then we'll come back together. So press pause while you're doing that and press play when you're ready to come back. Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, this hopefully has fueled your imagination and your thought processes this morning. What I want you to do with the person next to you or with somebody at home, discuss what creatures, what creations on our planet do you think are the most wonderful and why? It could be animals, it might not be animals, it might be to do with plant life, it could be coral reefs, anything that you think is really special and why you think that. And remember, I've put this at the bottom here, we are discussing natural creations, okay? I do not want to see people saying, well, Xboxes, the internet, PlayStations, okay? We're talking natural creations, things that are part of the natural world. So press pause while you're discussing and press play when you're ready to come back. Okay, welcome back. Well, hopefully you've got an idea as to sort of things that you think are fabulous about our planet, okay? Because there is a lot that is amazing about it. And what I want to do this morning is I want you to pick one particular creature. Now, you're going to have a go at this morning, making some notes, saying or talking about why you think a certain creature is amazing. Now, what I would advise you do is have a look at the resources in the Wednesday English folder this morning. There is a sheet that says animal research sheet there. I would be suggesting that you picked one of those animals this morning if you open it up and have a look at it, because they give you loads of really good descriptive ideas, loads of good things about each of the animals. And what I want you to do is to pick one of those animals this morning. Okay, so once you've opened it up, have a look, choose one of those animals. Press pause while you're opening it up and press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, so what I also want you to do is to open up this particular sheet. Now, this is also on Wednesday's lesson resources for today, and this is going to be what you will be using to take the information from your research sheet. So, for example, if I was to think about the elephant, I might pick up some language like this, and I might want to insert it if I wanted to describe my creature. I might also want to look at some of the amazing reasons to why I think the elephant is the most wonderful creature. And I can take that from my research sheet, okay? So I want you to complete this sheet. You can, if you aren't able to print it, you can always draw it, okay? It's only a few boxes. In the middle will go the animal that you've chosen. Then I want you to have a box where you describe, you find all the really good words that describe your animal from the research sheet. Second thing I want you to do, you've got 1, 2, 3 boxes here, 3 reasons why you think your creature is the most wonderful creature in the whole world. And then finally, can you find any persuasive phrases or language that you could drop into this box here from that sheet? Okay, so if you were looking at the elephant, what persuasive language could you find from the research sheet that you could use here tomorrow. And what we're going to have a go at doing tomorrow is you're going to write a persuasive piece of writing tomorrow that just explains why you have picked the animal that you picked and why you think it's the most amazing creature in the world. So this is just a planning sheet today to help you with tomorrow's writing. Okay, have a good day, have a good go at this. And what we'll do, you need to keep hold of this, make sure it's in your book, because tomorrow you're going to be using it to write your animal description, not character description. Okay, so have a go at that and have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Take care then. Bye-bye.